$2.3 billion. That is what it cost to build the strangest, most talked about building on the planet, the Sphere in Las Vegas, 366 feet tall, 516 feet wide. The largest spherical structure ever built by human hands, wrapped in more than 1 million programmable lights that can turn the entire building into a basketball, an eyeball, or the moon rising over the strip. Step inside and you sit beneath the largest, highest resolution LED screen ever made, a wraparound display covering roughly 160,000 square feet. Nothing like it existed before September 2023. Nothing like it exists anywhere else today. It shocked the world the moment it lit up, and then, almost immediately, it started losing money. Not a little, hundreds of millions of dollars, quarter after quarter, while tourists lined up outside and U2 sold out night after night inside. So how does the most expensive entertainment venue in the history of Las Vegas turn into one of the biggest financial gambles the city has ever seen? And after everything, the overruns, the impairment charges, the losses, is it actually working? To understand that, you first have to go back to a much smaller idea and a much smaller number. In 2018, the company behind Madison Square Garden broke ground on a new kind of venue next to the Venetian on the Las Vegas Strip. About 300 people showed up for the ceremony, including casino mogul Sheldon Adelson and Nevada's governor at the time, Brian Sandoval. Engineering firm AYCOM signed on to help build it. The projected cost, on paper, was around $1.2 billion. That number did not survive contact with reality. By late 2020, AYCOM had stepped away from its role as general contractor, and the company behind the project took over managing construction itself. Then came a global supply chain crisis. Then came an inflation surge that hit steel, glass, and electronics all at once. The budget crept past $1.2 billion, then past $1.8 billion, then past $2 billion. By the time the doors opened, the final number, including all of the core technology inside, had reached $2.3 billion. That made it the single most expensive entertainment venue ever built in Las Vegas, beating even the $1.9 billion Allegiant Stadium down the road. Here is the number that should stop you cold. It took 5 years from the first shovel in the ground in 2018 to the first show in 2023, and the price tag nearly doubled along the way. Even a $65 million payment from the neighboring Venetian resort, part of the original land arrangement, barely made a dent in the final bill. But money was never really the point. The Sphere was built to be impossible to ignore, and on that promise, it delivered completely. The exosphere, the outer shell, is covered in roughly 1.2 million individually programmable LED pucks spread across close to 600,000 square feet. From across the valley, the entire building becomes a screen, a basketball with stitching, a giant eye that blinks, an advertisement for a Marvel movie 30 stories tall. Inside, the audience sits wrapped in a screen with a resolution high enough to fill every direction a person can look, paired with immersive four-dimensional elements built into the seating and the room itself. Think of it like this. Most movie screens are a window you look through. The Sphere is not a window. It is the room itself, redrawn on every surface around you, so that the edges simply disappear. The venue can seat more than 17,000 people, with room for thousands more standing. And on September 29, 2023, all of it turned on for the first time, with U2 opening a residency that would go on to sell out show after show. Time magazine called the Sphere one of the best inventions of the year. Critics who walked in skeptical walked out stunned. It backdropped the Las Vegas Grand Prix, then Super Bowl week. For a moment, it looked like every dollar of that $2.3 billion had been worth it. Then the financial reports started coming out. The first one covered only 2 days of operation and already showed an operating loss of $98 million. People online treated it as proof the whole thing was a disaster. Though in fairness, 2 days of ticket sales were never going to cover a $2.3 billion building. The real test came in the first full quarter. Revenue came in at $167 million, while the loss reached $193.9 million. In a single quarter, the Sphere lost more than its entire quarterly income. Stay with me, because what comes next is worse. The company behind the Sphere had also been chasing a second location in London. That bid collapsed. The write-off from the failed London project alone came to $116.5 million, layered directly on top of the Las Vegas losses. By 2025, the cumulative operating loss on the Sphere segment alone had climbed past $1 billion, according to the company's own disclosures. Not one bad quarter, not one bad year, a running total north of $1.1 billion in losses on a building that cost $2.3 billion to build in the first place. And there was a second problem hiding just behind the first one. The company that owns the Sphere, Sphere Entertainment, also owns a separate business, a group of regional sports television networks. Those networks were carrying more than $800 million of debt. And by early 2025, the company was warning openly that this piece of the business, not the Sphere itself, might have to file for bankruptcy. Legally, the two businesses are separate. But it meant that the same boardroom running the most talked about building on Earth was, at the same time, negotiating to avoid a bankruptcy filing a few floors away. James Dolan, the executive who controls the company, also controls the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers. This was not his first high-stakes bet, and it would not be his last. On an earnings call, Dolan himself compared the venue's rocky first year to burning the first pancake off the griddle. The batter never comes out right the first time, but you learn the pan. Here is what nobody expected. Through all of it, people kept showing up. Concerts kept selling. UFC 306, the promotion's first event inside the Sphere, became the highest-grossing show of the venue's entire first year. The Eagles and Dead & Company each ran extended residencies. Advertising on the outer shell, that giant glowing ball visible from across the valley, turned into its own revenue stream, worth tens of millions of dollars a year on its own. By 2025, total company revenue had grown to $1.22 billion for the year, even as the loss on paper still came in at $229.6 million. Depreciation on a $2.3 billion building does not go away just because the seats are full. But the picture underneath was not all confidence. Tickets for the Sphere experience, the film attraction paired with the building's technology, had once been almost impossible to get. By 2025, prices for that same experience had been cut from $119 down to $99, a quiet admission that the early frenzy was cooling. And yet, at the exact same time, hedge fund manager Steve Cohen kept adding to his stake in the company, pushing his position past 7%. Wall Street, it turned out, was placing two very different bets on the same building at once. So which is it? A money pit or a genius bet that simply has not paid off yet? The answer came from an unexpected place: Abu Dhabi. In 2025, the Department of Culture and Tourism in Abu Dhabi agreed to build a second Sphere at a projected cost of $1.7 billion. But this time, the structure of the deal was completely different. Abu Dhabi is paying for the entire construction. Sphere Entertainment is not putting up billions of its own dollars again. Instead, the company licenses its technology, its patents, and its content library, and collects fees for every year the building stands and every show that plays inside it. That single deal quietly answers the question the first Sphere raised. The $2.3 billion version in Las Vegas was the expensive proof of concept, the one that had to absorb every cost overrun, every supply chain shock, every lesson learned the hard way. The building in Abu Dhabi, and any Sphere built after it, gets to skip almost all of that. Someone else pays to build it. Sphere Entertainment just gets paid to run it. The most expensive entertainment venue in Las Vegas history may never fully pay back its own $2.3 billion price tag on its own. It may not need to.